disappoint.
You can't trust England. That's the take.
Can't trust England. Yeah. Don't trust them. You see what happened to the Native Americans.
It is 9:30 something on a Thursday night, and you're tuned into Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is ChipChat. Welcome to ChipChat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told him, buddy.
Yeah. You can't trust England.
Can't trust England.
Nah. That's all right. They did it exactly the way Brian drew it up, and yeah. Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
I already talked sports, earlier this week.
You got it out of your system.
And now I don't have anything.
You don't have any comment on your native land being bounced from the World Cup, and also your adopted native land being bounced from the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't have nothing for any I don't have my thoughts. I provided my thoughts in the beginning of the show. So when you start listening to the show, we've given all the thoughts that are necessary on that. I don't know, clearly the Argentina, they've been doing that the whole World Cup, right? It's not like that.
Cape Verde,
Yeah, except that. Yeah, which now it makes you think oh wow, yeah.
England's as good as Cape Verde. That's a very nice thing to say about England.
Oh, I don't know. It's just heartening. You think, and I thought Pickford just missed it. He missed on the it was close. That first, if he had moved, when they showed it in slow motion, it's he misses it by just a fraction.
He was a split second late moving. In both goals.
Yeah, I guess both, yeah.
In both goals, I don't blame Jordy for either of them, especially the second one where there was just no chance on that cross. And that's a perfect header. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you draw up in a textbook.
Yeah.
But, just like on any other given week, his defense let him down, and it's Pickford's left to try to pick up the mess. I'm proud of him. He did well. All the former Evertonians also did fairly well. John Stones got hurt, but did pretty well. Tony Gordon did pretty well. Former Everton great Luca Digne did pretty well before France got bounced. There were a lot of Lukaku, even Ancelotti, until he got bounced. There's a lot of formers.
Yeah,
we did well in helping other teams. That's just all right. So anyway, that's sports. That's really Brian's show. Anyway, we don't do that here the way that Brian does. You should go listen to his show. It's called No Filter Sports. Sometimes he has Tez on it.
Yeah, I was on
He'll be on this Saturday.
There you go. So you should tune in if you feel like you like Chip Chat, but you want more of it without Chip. Sometimes that's your way to get it. Sometimes I'm also on No Filter Sports ruining that show too. So it's up to you how you want to balance that.
Just such an easier show to do.
Yes.
Hour and a half. It's sports. I literally just allowed Brian to go off on LeBron for 25 minutes. That's all.
Yeah, I bet there were kids on his lawn too.
And Caitlin. Don't forget Caitlin too.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
All right, tune in so you can get that, but we won't give it away here. We do have a special show. This is a special edition.
Yes, this is a special edition. Actually, we have finally. This is the real special edition, guys.
Oh, this is the real special edition.
The real special edition.
So this week it's been stupid hot out, which is great because we're going to talk to the founder of Capital Weather, Mr. Jason Samenow. He's going to be joining us. and we're going to ask him about why it's stupid hot, and we're going to also ask him if he can turn things down a little. I don't know how that works. So maybe he does. I don't know. I tried.
Enough.
For reasons unexplained to me in Hebrew school, we don't actually control the weather. I was pretty sure.
Enough.
But yeah. Okay.
Don't give the internet anything. All right. Don't give it anything.
Trayon, if you're listening. Also, we're gonna have headlines. There's Iran updates, maybe. That guy who thinks he's president is currently counter-programming us.
Yeah. Everything I heard is he's coming to tell us again that he won the 2020 election, and this time it's China.
Oh, it's China this time. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was after Muskegon, Michigan lately. So,
maybe all right. Yeah, I don't know. For the 6 people out here listening to this, if something crazy happens and he's like sending things like troops into something, like into towns across America, let us know. But I feel like my phone.
Otherwise, we're not paying a lot of attention to it. Also, if he comes from Michigan, I think he's going to be pretty sad because there's either not what he's expecting waiting for him or nothing. There's a lot of nothing in Michigan. That's kind of what we do there. Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna do headlines and Iran updates and international news, some domestic news. We are gonna have Tez talk about mergers and acquisitions, which is gonna be riveting radio. I can promise you that.
Go down to 5 listeners.
There's nothing like listening to amateur economics.
Yeah, right.
We're so good at it.
Yeah.
All right.
So good at the amateur part.
Yeah, so good
Not
at the
so
amateur
good at the
part.
economics part.
I'm at least the son of an economist.
Yeah, you're
so I can fake it.
Yeah, you can fake it.
I have some of the language. I can discuss negative growth and or whatever else dumb econ words there are. Okay, you have a word? It's
I have a word.
Okay. Oh, now you threw me off.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Also, we're not here next week, so you got a break.
Yeah. Yes.
Tez only likes this show when he doesn't have to be on it.
I love this show. I like Thursdays sometimes too. I sometimes enjoy Thursdays.
What a uh-oh, breaking news already. We got the first break.
Yeah, that's the break. We're going to the break. Right after this, I just caught because the Trump speech is done. So you're cool.
Good.
Already,
we do have a lot of the same audience, so I can understand why.
Yeah. So it was just to let y'all know, and if you missed it, glad you just tuned into ChipChat because all I'm going to say is this: it was utter BS. That's it.
We're shocked.
Just within the first 30 seconds, it's utter BS.
Give me a good quotable something. I want something out of it.
Oh, quotable? Oh.
No. Do that after the break.
Yeah, after the break.
Yeah. So we need to do our word and we need to go to the break so that we can then talk to our guest who is interesting and fun and cool and not us. So yeah.
All right. I have my word.
All right. Do you have your word?
Yes, I said yes.
Okay.
Brian
I'm trying
did the
to
breaking. I'm
ready. Okay, then we had breaking news. Fine. Okay, let's do it. All right. So sit back, grab some
Hydrosphere.
It's summertime. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Street Ball. All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping out?
That was the world's shortest break. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate that. Okay, so
we're back on time.
Back on time. There we go. Jason Samenow is a local guy, just like us, but unlike us, he grew up to greatness, working as an intern for the legendary Bob Ryan. If you're from here, you definitely know who that is. And then he goes on to UVA, gets his degree in environmental and climate science. That's, whatever. Then he founds the Capital Weather Empire. I don't even know how many different things there are part of it, but Capital Weather. He brings it to the Washington Post and then eventually brings it back independent of the paper. And now Jason joins us here. Welcome to Chip Chat.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, good.
No,
That's what a lot of guests say. Okay, so
10 minutes.
No, we do have some real questions we want to ask you.
Yeah.
So we want to. The first thing is, tell us what it's like being a young weather nerd and where that passion comes from. And I'm going to caveat this by saying all of the people that we have talked to or that I know in my real life who are meteorology people have always been that. There's that, like, I've got friends who I've known since we were like 6 or 7 and they were into weather then, and then they grew up to work for the Weather Service or whatever. So where does that passion come from and what's that like?
Yeah, it's kind of random, but it's striking because I think you're right. Pretty much everybody I know who's in the field got hit with the bug at a young age. And I can't explain it. And it's really random. And there are not a lot of us out there. But if you add up all the meteorologists around the country, I mean, there are hundreds, thousands. But in any one community, I was the only kid in my school that was into weather. Elementary school, middle school, high school, I was the only one. There was no weather club. I didn't have fellow weather geeks that I could share my passion with. And I mean, that's pretty much the case with most people I know. But yeah, when I was 10 years old, it snowed a lot. This was 1987. I guess I was 10 going on 11 and 5th grade. And we had what was called the double whammy snowstorms, back-to-back double digit storms, and put down about 20 inches of snow. We were out of school for 7 straight days. That was great. And I just got hooked tracking snowstorms, but mainly at first because we got out of school because of it. And then there was another snowstorm that winter. And then that next November, there was a surprise snowstorm on Veterans Day, which is pretty awesome. We had thunder snow, 3-inch-an-hour rates, lightning. It was pretty epic. So, the weather bug bit me because of snowstorms, but then my interest in snow kind of evolved into, being interested in hurricanes and thunderstorms. Then when I got to college, I got really interested in climate change, and the rest is history. And, it's interesting because some weather geeks they first become interested in it because of a severe thunderstorm or a tornado that hits their house. So a lot of weather geeks are severe weather gurus. They love tornado chasing and severe thunderstorms, but then you've got another sort of group of folks that are into snow. So it's either one or the other. You're either sort of a tornado freak or you're a snow freak. And I was the latter, but that's how it all got started. And I enjoy sort of tracking storms as well. And, I haven't actually been storm chasing out in the plains or the South, my colleague, Matthew Capucci, who I think
we're going to talk about him. Don't worry.
Yeah. So he was on your show, I believe. And, he's crazy and he chases, as much as he can. He loves that. I actually haven't been out there to do it, but he's invited me. So one of these days it'll happen.
I remember that storm in 87. It was before we moved to the house that my parents live in now, and there's these photos of me. I was much young. Well, I was like 4 or 5. There's these photos of me with the snow. They cut the pathway out to the sidewalk, and the snow on either side of me is as tall as me. And, it was a lot of snow. That I definitely remember. I don't think I had school yet, so I wasn't really keen on that. Is it true that if you put ice cubes under your pillow or whatever, you get to have snow, it gets out of school, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they like to say. I mean, there are all these various superstitions, wear your pajamas inside out, stuff like that. Yeah,
Get up at 4 a.m. and flip on WTOP to listen and see if your school is.
Yeah, those were the days, because it
Those
was
were the
like,
days.
these days, of course, they make the decisions the night before now. So they've
Yeah.
taken away all the suspense. It used to be all this drama, whether you be going to school or not. But now they're making these decisions proactively, which is probably a good idea, because then people can plan around it. And,
Okay, well,
the morning. The morning's
let
not
me get
chaos.
off on a tangent here, and I'm going to need your official weather opinion on this. I am a parent in County Fairfax, and let me tell you, ever since I can tell you when this happened. You're going to probably tell me about why this is I'm crazy and this is wrong and all this stuff. But back in I think it was 2015, I want to say. Yeah, we had already moved here. So I think it was 2015. There was an event where a lot of times when we get snow here in DC, it starts overnight, right? And then it builds up. And then, so it's obvious by the next morning that okay, the roads are either passable or not. But in this case, the snow event started at 5 a.m. or maybe 6 a.m. It was late for a snow start. And all of the surrounding jurisdictions, except for Fairfax, had called a 2-hour delay in advance.
Yeah.
And they were prepared, right? But Fairfax was nah, we're gonna run the buses, right? And so then it snowed, and it snowed a bit more than they, I guess, had expected or whatever. And they put their buses on the road, which then gummed up the works for the plows and all of the work that they were doing. And if and the snow was over by 9 o'clock. It was not a long snow event. It was about 2 inches. It was a manageable snow event. But Fairfax had their buses on the road, which messed up the stuff for the plows, and it snarled everything on Fairfax's side of the Beltway, which ended up causing a massive citywide gridlock. Yeah. And nothing moved for hours and hours and hours until after lunchtime. They finally got everything kind of cleared up. And by then the roads were totally dry. There was not any snow, but it was dry.
Yeah.
And I think Fairfax learned the opposite lesson from this. And they got so super gun shy that we have had snow called off for possible rain. It didn't even rain anywhere.
Yeah, I can remember a couple of those. Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
yeah,
so is that right? That. Do I have that recollection right?
Yeah, no, there was definitely an event where they opened on time, and the snow kind of boomed a little bit. I think maybe we were calling for a dusting to a couple of inches, and it was more toward the couple of inches, and it fell fast at exactly the wrong time. Yeah, and it created chaos, and so they've now sort of learn their lesson from that and err on the side of caution. And yeah, there have been a couple of events where, maybe the forecast was, well, it might be an up 10 inches of snow or it might be rain, and they're calling off school anyways. They don't care. Yeah. So
my kids never go to school. They went something like 2 months without 1 full week of school. And it was crazy.
Well, that was this last winter. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nuts. And I'm, I still have to go to work and everything like that. It's not fair. I know that's not what this show's about, but I'm like,
what a rant that you just go on.
Hey, I got a weather expert here. I'm going to use that opportunity.
Your name's on the show. I get it.
Slamming County Fairfax. All right. So you mentioned him, Matt Capucci. We had him on the show years ago. I think actually this is before Tez was even on the show. We're back in the studio at this time, and I remember that we gave him some weather related beer. I think it was one of the flying dog ones. I don't remember which one it was, but anyway, and Matthew Capucci started forecasting weather when he was 3 months old or whatever. So he was barely old enough to drink.
He's ridiculous. He's a force. He's a freak, but he's immensely talented,
incredibly.
It's interesting because, there are different degrees of weather geekdom, and he's off the charts, right? Like if I'm like run of the mill weather geek, he's like, like at another level for me. So,
He's
but it's
the
good.
LeBron
Yeah,
of
I like
weather.
I like the passion.
So we gave him this weather-related beer, whatever it was. I can't remember. So what is your favorite weather-related food or drink?
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of sampling any weather-related cuisine
Well, have you ever
or
had a
beverage.
dark and stormy, for example?
Pardon me?
A dark and stormy, right? That's a good drink.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other weather-related drinks. Sea
Yeah,
breeze. There's
Okay.
a sea breeze. It's not a good drink. Don't get that. But
Yeah.
that is the sort of weather-related. I don't know. I think there's a beer called Tidal Wave that I had once. Oh, there's Kona Big Wave. I guess that kind of counts, right? But all right. So you don't have an answer to this?
I don't have an answer. No, I mean, like, I'm sorry, I'm boring on that one.
Is it fair to say this is just too good a question for you to be able to possibly come up with an answer?
Yeah, you stumped me this time.
There you go. See, that's what I wanted. Okay,
That's all he wanted.
So what we do really want to talk about is how the story of how Capital Weather moved from being Capital Weather and then became part of the Washington Post for a long time. And then we'll talk about the second half of that story. But tell us about how you created Capital Weather and then how it got I don't know, absorbed, merged with whatever. I don't even know what the word is.
So there's there's a whole history there. When I got out of graduate school, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to take a job in weather forecasting or climate change because I was kind of torn between those two areas. And I sort of had academic background in both. And I ended up taking a job at the EPA working on climate change to start my career. But I wanted to
you chose a different job because I don't think that job exists at all.
It doesn't. It's really sad. It's really sad because like the office that I used to work in has been completely dissolved and pretty much nobody's left. It's awful, to be honest. Like there was a whole office. Yeah, there was a whole office of atmospheric programs, a climate change division, all wiped out. In the last few years, last couple.
Sounds like we'll be wiped out soon too, since we're getting rid of
by the climate.
It's kind of crazy. But so, anyways, I took the job at EPA, but I wanted to stay sort of engaged in weather forecasting and weather communication. So after working at EPA for a couple of years, I decided, okay, I'm going to start up a weather blog. Blogs were kind of the big thing, like 2003, 2004, everyone had a blog.
Yeah,
it's like, well, why should there needs to be a weather blog? Like nobody's doing a weather blog. And, the weather is like something we all share together. So the fact that a blog is sort of a two-way communication platform where you've got a commenting section, I just thought it would work well. And, I love DC weather. I was born and raised here. So like I just one night, late at night, the name capitalweather.com popped into my head. I checked if the domain was available. It was. I registered it. And I gradually built the site. I brought on some fellow meteorological colleagues to sort of make it a group blog. And so capitalweather.com was born, and it was a blog style site. And, we posted about the weather every day. Through grassroots, we just grew a following. We got other blogs to link to us, got some press. Washingtonian wrote about us. Washington Post wrote about us. And then around 2007, the Post reached out to us. They wanted to sort of expand their local weather offerings. And so they said, well, would you like to move your platform onto WashingtonPost.com and be our weather team? We were like, sure. And we weren't making a lot of money sort of as an independent blog at that time. We had some ads on the page, but it was basically just enough to cover costs. So the Post was actually offering us some real money. And so so initially we started with the Post in January 2008. We were on a 3-year deal. It was a contract. And then the last year of that deal was a snowmageddon winter. So this was 2009, 2010. And, DC's snowiest winter on record, 56.1 inches to be exact. And so you
got to get that 0.1 in there.
Absolutely. That could matter. Anyways, it was after that winter that our contract was ending. Of course, like our web traffic went through the roof. I mean, it went gangbusters. In fact, we were the team that popularized the term Snowmageddon. President Obama mentioned Snowmageddon. It went viral, and so we were getting like millions of page views that winter. And so the Post was like, well, we got to keep this going. But I was at that time, I was working my EPA job during the day, and I was doing the Post thing as like a side business. It was just too much. And I kind of told the Post that, and they're like, well, what if we create a full-time job for you and you move into the newsroom? I was like, yeah, I'd consider that. And so that's what I did. And so I left the EPA in 2010, and I went full-time at the Post, and I did that from 2010 to 2024. So it was 14 years full-time there. And I actually hired Matthew Capucci. He was one of my on my team. And it was a great run. I think one of the things we did, while I was there, is we expanded our coverage of weather from being for and about Washington to sort of covering weather all over the planet, and national, international weather. And that sort of fit in with Bezos's sort of strategy of expanding the Post beyond being a local newspaper to being a national, international news organization. So we expanded weather when Bezos came in, and I guess it was about a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago now, the fall of 2024. I was just kind of burnt out. Weather doesn't turn off. It was a lot. It was a lot covering national, local, and international weather and running point on all of that. I mean, I had a team, but it was just like I was just ready to kind of scale back a little bit. So I told them I wanted to scale back and just run local. I just wanted to do local weather, and so I did that part time for about a year, and then things at the Post, kind of took a turn with the layoffs and everything. And we were also kind of like thinking, my whole team and I, we were thinking, okay, like we really want to like be innovative with local weather. And there's a lot of additional things we want to be able to do that we couldn't do sort of within a larger organization. We kind of we felt like we needed to break off and have basically our own weather company to be able to do it. Like, for example, we wanted to have a weather app. We wanted to potentially expand to other cities. And, that might be our next chapter, is sort of taking the model we built in DC and basically building franchises in other areas. We wanted to do independent consulting, help, people who need weather forecasts for their businesses, help provide forecasts to them. So there was a whole suite of services we wanted to be able to do that would be difficult to do while still working for the Post. So we basically told the Post we wanted to sort of split off. We wanted to do it amicably, and they were supportive. We made it all work out, and so here we are. So that was a lot, but anyways, that's
exactly
no, I think that's a really
that we wanted to know.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that Bezos was the one that turned you into gang members?
We were branded the Capital Weather Gang when we joined in 2008. That was the guy who brought us on. That was his idea. It was a play on the whole Capital Gang, which was a politics show. So, yeah.
Okay.
Jason, one question I had around this is just like, you've seen like from the blog era, right, which is like a specific era and like a different medium of how people are taking in information up to now. And we know, like, obviously there's a lot of changes in the media models and viewers are in different places. Where do you see, I guess, like for weather specifically, like folks digesting that? Like, I know you mentioned the app.
Yeah.
Like, where are people getting that? Like I look at my phone, obviously, but are there other areas that people are like actually consuming this?
Yeah, I mean, audiences are really fragmented, which makes it challenging, more so than ever, I think. So it's a great question. I mean, we try to be on as many platforms as we can. We're on a lot of different social media platforms. Of course, now we have a newsletter, an email newsletter, which we think is a really good way of bringing people in, because then you kind of like, you have them, like once you have their email, like you can push out information that you think is important on your own terms, which is helpful. And I think when people give you their email, it's like signaling they have trust in you. And so that's one of the that's kind of been part of our DNA, is to try to engender trust with our audience. So so we're really leaning into the email model a lot now. But yeah, we have to be on all the social media platforms, X, Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Blue Sky, and we recently launched a TikTok channel. We haven't done a lot with that yet, but we're doing that. I mean, one of our challenges is trying to like meet younger audiences.
Right.
I think a lot of our readers tend to be, people in my own demographic, people between like 30 and 60. So like we need to try to, branch out and reach some of the younger folks. And then, yeah, I mean, we have an app, and that's important as well, because that's actually the most popular way people consume weather information is via mobile apps. So that was again one of the reasons that contributed to our becoming independent, is we really wanted to be able to build that.
Before we get too far into the apps and like the feeding of information and all that, because we do have some questions about that. I wanted to ask, this is an observation that I had, and I assume this to be true, and you can tell me otherwise, but weather forecasting, people make this joke of like, oh, I want to be a weatherman, I can get it wrong and still not get fired. And like, that isn't true at all, because people, you mentioned businesses are want some of this weather consulting and stuff. And it's a huge range of businesses and people, but I think mostly commerce, that is very weather dependent. People think farmers, obviously, that's an obvious one, but all the logistics, all the shipping, all of that, all touches on the weather. And I will say that when I was a kid, when the weather would predict something like a temperature of 75 and it turned out to be 65, people would say, oh, well, they were way off, right? And they're 10 degrees off. And now the weather will predict 75 and it'll be 73. And people will be like, see, those guys don't know what they're talking about. And it's because the prediction models and the computer modeling has gotten so good.
Yeah.
And it has made you weather folks so much more accurate than you were even 30 years ago. I'm lumping you in with everybody now. You are the face of weather forecasting for all of the people here. But because it's so accurate now, people complain about the really, really small misses, and I see Chuck Bell every morning. He's like, I'm going to go 99, but if it goes to 100, don't at me, and I'm like, this can't be that, right? We can't be that. So is it really that good now? Is it that much better than it was? Or am I just sort of believing things?
It's pretty good. I mean, it's gotten a lot better since when we were growing up, and we just have so many tools in the toolbox now. I mean, we have tons of models, and of course we've got now this whole new generation of AI models, which are pretty good too. And so,
what if they make it up?
Yeah, you got to be careful, So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely I think it's come a long way, but there's still work to do. And I think where we have our biggest challenges is when 1 or 2 degrees can make a big difference. And that's often the case here in DC. It's like when you're right along the edge of something, you're right on the edge of rain and snow line, or you're like right on the edge of where the heavy precipitation starts and stops. So it could be a place 10 miles from you gets hammered, but you just miss it. And so I think where meteorology needs to make progress is sort of along these edges where there's sharp changes over small distances. And that can lead to really consequential forecast errors, and we see that with snow events here in the DC area sometimes, even now, I mean, even this past winter, I think there was an event where, maybe we predicted 1 to 3 and we barely had a dusting. And, and it was because, the models, and they have a tendency to do this. They sometimes predict it to be colder than it's actually going to be. And, as human forecasters, we have to make those adjustments. And sometimes it's hard to make the adjustments when like all the models have the same error. Like if the models disagree with each other, then you can communicate the uncertainty. You can say, okay, well, like, look, it could be this, it could be that. But when they all agree and they're all wrong, then you're like, oh shoot, like
That's fascinating.
yeah. So I mean, there's still a lot of progress that can be made. And I think also like in the longer term predictions, like I think day 1, day 2, day 3 were pretty accurate, but like, can we really tell you with much confidence, like, is there going to be a substantial snowstorm like 4, 5, 6 days down the road? We still can't do that. I mean, we can tell you there's a signal for a storm and, like the chances of snow are higher than normal. Maybe it could be a big one. We can say stuff like that, but in terms of like being able to really pin down the details, there's still some work left to do there.
Is the European model just an American model, but a bit lazier?
It's the best model. The European model is superior to
the difference. What are these things? We don't understand that, right? So I just see that like, well, the American model is predicting this and the European model is predicting, and I'm like, why are the Europeans predicting weather in Nebraska? Like, what do they care about that?
Yeah, so government. Yeah, so government labs, in different countries, they have computer models and they can predict the weather anywhere, around the world. And so, the National Weather Service, we have our own computer models, and one of them is the American model, and then the European Center for Medium Range Forecasting, which is a conglomerate of European nations, they have the European model. There's a Canadian model, there's a Japanese model, there's a German model, and so countries which are investing heavily in weather forecasting and science, they have these models and they're very sophisticated. They're run on supercomputers. They're doing trillions of calculations a second. They're bringing in data from satellites, from weather balloons, from all over the place. And the European model is just a little bit more advanced, frankly, than the American. It's better at bringing in data, and it's just stayed ahead of the American model for
How did they get ahead of us? Like, we invented weather and won the war.
You're killing him right now.
Like, where did they learn how to? Well, the French don't know anything about air conditioning, let alone how to like predict a heat wave. How could they possibly know anything better than us about this?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like, the National Weather Service has a lot of models which do a lot of different things. And the Europeans, they're like all focused on this one thing. The European Center for Medium Range Forecast, which does the European model, like that is the one thing they do. And because they're focused on one mission, they've been able to stay ahead of the United States, which is trying to do a million different things. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
All right. I have lots
it comes down to focus,
yes. Really. And I would say money, right?
Yeah, there's money involved too.
Focus is a nice way of saying investment.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we should do. We're going to take a break. And then on the other side of the break, we want to talk to you about things about, weather service, data, collection, the lack thereof, all of that kind of stuff. It's going to get a little more technical, I'm hoping, because I have a lot of technical questions that I want to ask, and I don't get this opportunity very often, so I'm going to take it when I get it. So we're going to take a break. Jason, you cool to stick around for the second half of your interview?
Sounds great. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps. Ignore whatever gets played next.
If I let you, promise I'm your one and only. If I let you, never leave you lonely. If I let you, hold me tight, give me a love that will never end. If I let you, if I let you, if I let you touch my hand and go just a little bit more. If my breath blew across your neck, could your greedy bones take any more? Your fancy eloquent words, or it just for the birds. And boy, I'm ready to get my pop started. If I let you, promise I'm your one and only. If I let you, ooh, never ever leave me lonely. If I let you, hold me tight, give me a love that will never end. If I let you, if I let you, we can play these games till we're old and gray. Two people acting insane. Why don't we stop all this playing? Oh, yeah. All right, girl. Oh, what you gonna do? Yeah, come on. Yeah, don't do it. Oh, what you gonna do? Oh, if I let you. Oh, what you gonna do? If I let you. Oh, what you gonna do? Are you gonna hold me tight? Oh, what you gonna do? If I let you. Oh, what you gonna do? Are you gonna love me tonight? If I let you, oh, what you gonna do? Oh, if I let you, oh, what you gonna do? Baby, if I let you, oh.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
Hanging out with us is the man behind CapitalWeather.com and so many other things. Jason Samenow is here.
How's it going, guys?
There
Good to
you
be
go.
back after the break.
Yes, it's it's fake radio, so you have to say stuff so people can hear it. All right. So first thing is I'm going to the beach next week and I want to make sure that I'm going to have a good time. So what's the weather for, and where do DC kids go to the beach? We go to Delaware, we go to Rehoboth. So what's the weather in Rehoboth going to be like next week?
The heat that we've been seeing this week will be long gone. So that's the good news. It won't be
good,
miserably hot. I think we're looking at pretty typical, mid-July weather, mid 80s to near 90, probably at the beach. There might be some, showers and storms late in the day. And at the beach, they tend to occur more in the evening, later in the day than they do here. So, be on the lookout for those once in a while. But I think the weather's looking pretty good for you.
Am I going to get some decent waves? I don't like these little flat water. That's boring. I want waves.
There might be some waves because there's a little disturbance moving off the in the Eastern Gulf, which is going to be moving off the southeast coast. Slight chance it might. The Hurricane Center was giving it like a 20% chance of developing into a tropical system, so that might kick up a bit of surf next week. So I'm not expecting huge breakers or anything like that, but there could be a little surf.
90 is the new 75 for me now. Like when it's 90 degrees after it happens, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I
Yeah,
love 99.
I mean-
It's amazing.
I think we've had 5 days at 100 this summer already. So yeah.
It's been miserably hot. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, I'm not your local weatherman. I'm just your local air conditioning man. And I can tell you it's been fucking hot. And being on the roof of a building when it's that hot out, trying to get everybody else cooling, and then they're ungrateful about it. They're like, oh, you haven't done it fast enough, is like maddening. So all of you ungrateful people. Ugh. Anyway. Okay. So weather is serious business. We've seen it cause major damage. Of course, it kills people, does all kinds of things. It's a really big deal. So why do you think there's a degradation in trust around the science of climate and weather forecasting together? And I know I'm conflating two things. We understand climate and weather are not the same thing. We're not those people. But in general, I would say there has been a like, wow, you can't trust the weather guys. They're all just blah, 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 blah. What's going on? Why is that happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just in general been a reduction in the trust of experts and expertise. And, I don't think it's unique to weather. I think it's to any scientific discipline. And so, I think it's sort of a cultural shift that coincided with the political regime change that we saw a couple years ago. And so I think people feel empowered to sort of challenge authority, ask questions, not necessarily believe in the people who have academic credentials. And so, I think that extends across the board, whether you're talking about, medicine or, the physical sciences, weather and climate, and, other disciplines. So
it's a weird thing, though, because I don't see, you're right about the medical stuff, but I don't see a lot of people challenging the expertise of, they don't be like, oh, well, that pilot doesn't know how to fly the plane. I'm better
The
at flying
firemen.
the plane.
The firemen. No one challenged the firemen about
Nobody challenges the fireman. Nobody challenges the guys like fracking the crude oil into gasoline or whatever. They all trust. Nobody's like.
I think it's things that. I think it's things that people experience day to day, and they feel like because they're out and about in different weather conditions, and they're a consumer of weather information that they know as much as anybody else, and it probably applies to things like their own health. And, it's like people always know better than the doctors. Right. And so I think it's a similar sentiment. So, I think some of the trades you're talking about, those are very specialized, and people realize that they don't know anything about them. But with things that they experience more day to day and they live, I think they feel like they have an intuitive sense. Right. And I think it's terribly misinformed. But
yeah, understatement of the year goes to Jason Samenow of CapitalWeather.com. What?
Yeah, but look, you have this whole movement of people who believe that like the government spraying aerosols into the atmosphere to change the weather. The chemtrail people. Even like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you've got people in positions of authority who are perpetuating this nonsense, and so that doesn't help. Right. When you have leaders, government leaders of communities who are questioning, like credible science, well-established information, irrefutable data, it makes it tough.
Well, to that point, one of the things that those leaders have done is decapitate the data. Right. They've gone after the National Weather Service. I understand that the number of weather balloons launched per day by the National Weather Service has gone down substantially. I don't think most people understand what, they're like, well, what's a weather balloon going to tell me anyway? Like, can you explain briefly why we need consistent? What are we getting from the weather balloons that we can't get from a satellite and all of that stuff? And why do we need so many launches? Can we do without, or what is that impacting?
Yeah, so like the weather balloon data is really important for the models. It is true. It's just one data sort, and weather satellites, provide a lot of important data for weather models as well. But there have been experiments which have shown that the weather balloons are actually one of the more important data sources. So, there are questions rightly being asked about like, okay, well, what's the impact of the fact that some of the weather balloon operations have been changed? Some of them have been reduced. And there have been cases where they're doing them at different times than they used to. And so meteorologists are like asking the Weather Service, well, can you like the Weather Service official line is like, well, there's not a real impact. We haven't seen any impact in the models. And they're saying that like, they have all these redundant sources of information that can sort of take the place of weather balloons. But like the question,
Clearly not.
I think the question that a lot of meteorologists have is like, can you prove that to us? Like, like show us an experiment that shows us that like there's been no impact, because until you prove that, like we're going to keep asking these questions, because there have been some high profile forecast misses on severe weather days that happened this spring, where there were
not just this spring. Look, like right now, there's flooding in hill country in Texas right now along the Guadalupe River, which is exactly the same river that flooded last year and killed all those kids at that camp. That forecast was poorly handled. And there, I don't know, you probably know better about this than I do, but the reports I read did mention that there was staffing reductions along the Weather Service forecasting in those areas where that information would have been critical to be able to get enough data to crunch the numbers, to be able to warn people farther enough in advance that, hey, you got to get out of there. This is a risky environment. And I don't care who these people are to tell me, look, some 19-year-old who calls himself Big Balls is not going to be able to prove to me that the weather balloon data is somehow insignificant when there's dead kids as a result of the lack of that data.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like with that, in that case, like one of the things that happened because of Doge is you had like, people laid off at the Weather Service, right? And you've also had a lot of attrition because people have retired, and the Weather Service has been slow to sort of backfill those slots. And so when you lose that experience, the connections that some of these veteran meteorologists had, with emergency officials and emergency management, that critical connection is lost, so that when there is a really significant weather event about to occur, like that important communication from the forecast office to the emergency manager may not happen as effectively. And so there were questions about, with that flood in Texas last year in Camp Mystic, like whether the reductions in staff at that Weather Service office reduced the amount of outreach that the office did with emergency officials ahead of that event, which might have helped, raise the alarm a little bit more.
One question I have is about people say, oh, well, I don't watch the weather, or I don't read Capital Weather or look at the paper. I look at my app as if it's getting data from some other place. But all of those apps are, whether it's AccuWeather, whether it's Weather Channel, whether it's Google, whatever, they're all funneling Weather Service data, right? They're all getting the same information.
Yeah, I mean, some of them use different models, or they sort of they put more emphasis on one model versus another model. A lot of them do use Weather Service data, but some of them also, bring in some of the different computer models we were just talking about, and sort of run routines on them to sort of prioritize certain things. But like, here's my thing about the apps, which is that there's not a human typically providing quality control. And so the apps will just give you one answer. They'll just give you one icon, and they won't explain to you when a forecast is complicated, like what the range of possibilities is. Like your Apple weather app might tell you like, oh, it's going to snow 14 inches, 6 days from now, Whereas in reality, a professional meteorologist would tell you, oh, that might have like a 5% chance of happening.
Right.
But the Apple app is just like picking out for you what one model is telling you, you know, and it has like a really low likelihood of happening. So like you're just getting like a number in isolation with no context. And so like you need a real person to provide the context to help explain a forecast to you when it matters. You know, like it's sunny and 80, an app is fine, right?
Sure.
On a day when, you know, like there's maybe a 30% chance of a thunderstorm, you know, hit or miss thunderstorm, it's probably okay. But like when the weather's potentially dangerous, when there might be flash flooding, when there might be tornadoes, when snow or ice is in the forecast, you really need a person to sort of explain to you, okay, not only, you know, like what are the range of possibilities, but like, when is this going to start? When is this going to be worst? When will you have the all clear? And, you know, icons on an app aren't going to do that for you. So people can really add value, and that's what we're trying to lean into.
One of the things that I noticed, you know, it also helps to know the area that you're discussing. And as you mentioned, like things are in ranges, right? They're not specific. This is going to be exactly this much rain or this much snow. But also when you hear a forecaster say things like there will be more rain in certain areas, or you could get snow at higher elevations, or low-lying areas may be susceptible to flooding, and name those specific locations. If you're in Huntington, if you're in you know, Old Town, Alexandria, watch out, you're going to experience flooding. You're probably not getting that in Rockville, right? So like but knowing the place, knowing the area, and being able to call those things out specifically as a consumer is a tremendous part of what I'm listening for when I'm listening to a forecast. It's not just
and there are microclimates in the area. I mean, like if you see it during a snowstorm, like if you drive from downtown Washington into upper Northwest DC, it can change quickly. It can be like bare ground downtown, and if you get up to like American University, you can have 2 or 3 inches of snow on the ground. It can change that fast. It's just a few hundred feet of elevation, but that can matter because like downtown, it's like, and near the Potomac, it's like right at sea level. You've got the urban heat island effect, which heats everything
the heat
up.
island, the snow hole. Is the snow hole real?
I mean, I think the snow hole just sort of refers to the fact that like it's hard for it to get snow to stick downtown a lot of times just because of that heat island effect. So it may snow, but it may not accumulate that well down there. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's funny because, you know, like just because of prevailing storm tracks, you know, places to the north of DC will get hit and places to the south of DC will get hit. And some people refer to that as a snow hole. I mean, there are different ways the snow hole can manifest itself, whether it's because of the heat island effect or whether it's because of the storm track. But
the heat island thing's for real. I think that's the most obvious explanation for it, and the way that it affects everything. Even the convection of the air above the heat island can I think it's also just fun to say snow hole. All right. So now with the cuts at Weather Service and the DOGE impacts and all of that stuff, has there been some effort by the private sector at all to kind of fill these gaps? And I'm not talking about models and interpreting, crunching the data, but just gathering that raw data that's necessary to do that crunching. Has somebody else come and seen a commercial opportunity to fill the void? I don't know how you make money at it, but I'm sure there's an opportunity there.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are companies which are actually launching their own satellites into space to collect data, which is fed into models. And actually the Weather Service contracts with some of those companies to bring in the models. And that's like one of their excuses is that like, oh, well, we're buying commercial data. So like if we have a few less, you know, weather balloon launches, we're covered. I mean, it is true. There's definitely a whole new group of companies which are doing this work. I mean, like, I think, you know, setting aside the problem with weather balloons right now, and I think it's a short-term thing. And the Weather Service is actually staffing up again. They recently put out an announcement that they're hiring hundreds of new people. So I think they're trying to sort of make up for some of the bad decisions that they made.
Are we sure
previously.
They're not going to hire a bunch of MTGs who are going to be like, looking at contrails and calling them chemtrails like that? Is there any worry about that, or
no? I mean, like the Weather Service is still a good agency.
Okay.
I mean, I like the people there are great, and they're very mission focused. They're all weather geeks. I think they want what's best for the country, and so like I'm not too concerned there. I mean, I think like where the nefarious motives kind of play in are more on the climate change issue, and and how they're like how a lot of the research programs for climate have been gutted across the government, and I don't think that's coming back in this administration. They are very, very hostile to anything having to do with like human-caused climate change.
You're kidding. So one of the things
as a former EPA guy, that like hits home with me, and so like, and it hasn't stopped. I mean,
heavy emphasis on former EPA. So
are we at the climate section of this now? Because
so one of the things that we do on this show, and by we I mean Tez does on this show, is endlessly harangue everybody else about the dangers of climate change. And
look at these dead-ass birds.
I get right. Look at the dead ass birds. Okay, that Europe's in the middle of a massive heat wave. They don't know how to handle that. There's desertification all over the place.
Yeah.
There's like way bigger storms, and I think it's plainly obvious. I don't even know how anybody couldn't see that this is not normal.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about
well, let me point to a few things.
Explain the climate change thing and why it leads to more wildfires, why it's leading to bigger hurricane. What is going on there?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, when you add these heat trapping gases into the atmosphere, it's like basically putting the atmosphere on steroids. So if you think about like the steroid era in baseball, right, when like Bonds was hitting like 70
amazing,
home runs, right? It's kind of like the atmosphere is on steroids now, so it's like doing everything it used to do, just like in a more intense way. So it's like the heat waves are bigger now. They're longer lasting. They're more intense. They're more frequent. The heavy downpours are more intense. So you get these like, deluges, which are just insane. And, and I want to point to something which is happening right now, which to me is troublesome, which is these like fires in Canada, which erupt and spread, at breakneck speeds, and all this smoke which is now pouring into the Great Lakes in the eastern United States. I mean, DC has code red air quality alert tomorrow because of smoke pollution, and like we didn't have this when I was growing up. Do you ever remember there being like smoke in DC in the 80s and 90s?
Never.
Like, never.
Now and
I
this
didn't even know Canada had fire. Like I had assumed that they borrowed fire from us. Like who knew that Canada had forest fires?
Yeah, so like in 2023, June 2023, like the skies basically turned like it looked like Mars crazy here, right?
Yeah, I remember it was. Yeah, it looked like everything was kind of orange, hazy,
and
apocalyptic.
It looked apocalyptic. I think we covered that on the show. Actually, we said
so we're gonna have a day. We may have a day like that tomorrow. So it's like
this morning. I was driving in, and the sun was bright red. It looked like Tatooine. Yeah. I was like, this can't be normal.
Yeah, so like the fact that we're seeing this happen more often, and it didn't happen a lot before. I mean, I think this is a symptom of climate change, because what climate change does is by intensifying the heat, it dries things out. So when you do get a fire, the fire spreads more rapidly and you get more smoke, and then the smoke comes downwind, and, like we're dealing with, pollution here and bad air. So, so there's that, which is happening now. Of course, you mentioned the European heat wave. I saw an article in Reuters the other day that estimates of like 10,000 excess deaths in Europe because of that heat wave. And I mean, like earlier this week, I think like Montana got up to like 115 degrees, its highest temperature ever. It was like 100. It was like 109 in Salt Lake City, its highest temperature on record. So like,
There's not going to
some
be
crazy
a Salt
stuff.
Lake in about 5 minutes. That's like a real problem.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, you can just, I mean, you just look at the heat waves are just, yeah, they're becoming more intense, and that has impacts for a lot of different reasons. Where people don't have air conditioning, it causes deaths, and obviously it has
The
the
air
impacts on lives.
conditioning doesn't work in that. Let me tell you something about that I don't think a lot of people know. We here in DC were design spec 90 degrees until very recently. And then because the climate is hotter, we got moved into what was the South region. And so now we're design spec 95, and all of the heat pumps that used to be sold were fail to heat, meaning in an emergency situation, they would default to heat position because you could die without heat, right? Because it would be too cold. And it wasn't like you were going to die from lack of air conditioning. We are now in default cool mode. So we're now powered heat as opposed to powered cool on the reversing valve on a heat pump, which means that we are now more worried about people dying from heat in our region than dying from cold in our region. And that is a big change.
Yeah.
Like, big change that didn't used to be here. I want to know, and Tez probably has a lot more thoughts on this. So I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about the climate thing. But what is it about? So much of politics is about identity. And why has this thing that seems to be totally nonpartisan, just it is happening, and it is a thing that we need to figure out what to do to deal with it. How has climate denialism become an identity, and how has that become this thing that you and other scientists have to somehow overcome? To nobody fights about whether an egg fries in a pan. Like that's just a settled bit of science, but they don't understand or refuse to understand that the atmosphere is warming and holding more heat, that the earth is warming, the oceans are warming, and that's just a measurable thing. And they have a million excuses. It's a natural process, or none of these things makes any damn sense. Why is it? And it's not
I think
a finer point on that, left and right on climate issues doesn't exist outside the United States. That is not a left or right issue. It is just a thing that everybody has to deal with. So what is going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it goes back to what we were talking about before, which is just the distrust in expertise. And it's because, like you have a strong scientific consensus among experts that human-caused climate change is real and that it's a problem. And I think it's just sort of this.
Why does that bother anybody? Why don't they just say, "Oh yeah, that's a problem, and here's a great opportunity to solve it, make money solving it"? I think
there is a political angle to it, just in that because some of the solutions to climate change are imposing taxes on people and increasing the cost of energy, and people who are against taxes tend to be right of center. So I think you sort of like bring together the fact that you've got people who are anti-government control, anti-tax, and these same people also happen to be the people who are inclined to not trust authority. It all comes together. And I think there's a third element too, which is that in the spirit of fairness, there have been some politicians and some environmental groups which have sensationalized climate change science a little bit. Like, I think over dramatized certain projections, maybe overstated how much we know, maybe sort of framed it as this doom or gloom issue, and that, we're all going to die if we don't do something if we don't bring emissions down to zero by 2030. And there's some hyperbole there. And I think some of it is also sort of a backlash against that hyperbole. So there have been some like less than ideal players on the other side of the issue, which have, I think, stretched the truth a little bit, or maybe, and it might not be intentional. It's just because they're so passionate about it that they like kind of latch on to the most sort of extreme predictions, which maybe, aren't terribly likely. And so some of that can backfire. So I do think that's why it's important that when you communicate about an issue as complicated as climate change, that you do so responsibly, that you don't sensationalize it, you don't overstate it. I mean, it's not, there are people who talk about like an uninhabitable Earth and like, like we only have 10 years. And, you have like prominent politicians who say this stuff. And the reality is that it's kind of a risk management issue. It's like the more it warms, the more difficult it's going to be to sort of adapt to the changes, the more costly it's going to be. It's not that we're all going to die. It's just going to mean more suffering. It's going to be more expensive to deal with. It means that there are going to be more impacts on the natural world, and meaning, more species going extinct. But it doesn't mean like we can't live with it. It's just going to be more unpleasant to live with. And so like, I think like you have to kind of like resist the urge to like go overboard. And I think, because I do think that can backfire a little bit, because like clearly like we're seeing it play out in front of our own eyes. Like the truth is bad enough, right? Yeah. You don't need to exaggerate it. And, you can look at some of the predictions that Al Gore made, like 20 or 30 years ago. And like, and that's what, the opponents of climate change action do. They cherry pick, predictions that were over the top from prominent people. And so that's why you want to make sure you're communicating responsibly and, like sticking with the mainstream stuff and not sort of getting at, letting things get out of hand,
Yeah, Tez.
I guess the question is like, I get the balanced approach of this, but it is clear that like something like there's an inaction that's there. And where is I'm all for the middle ground, but I guess to your point, it's like if you scare people, maybe they just become so apathetic that they don't actually do anything, or they don't.
Yeah, it can be paralyzing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I think if you give people sort of things to be hopeful about, if you tell people like, look, this is a problem, but there are solutions out there. There are things we can do. And the more we do, the better off we're going to be. Not, we're all going to die if we don't do anything. So.
How long do we have until Florida is gone?
Yeah, it's going to be hundreds of years. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's, and it wouldn't all be gone, but yeah. I mean, look, if you had a catastrophic loss of the West Antarctic ice sheet or Greenland, I mean, that could raise sea levels, multiple feet. But it's not quite this isn't going to happen overnight. So
no, I saw the movie. It happens like overnight, and then they have to burn all
the day after tomorrow. That's right. Yeah.
Jason, one question I had around this, because I'm reading, I wouldn't say it's a doom and gloom book, but it's just kind of like, it's this book, Planet Aqua, just like how, like, rethinking our relationship with water on this planet. And like, I guess the whole like theme is really like, as the climate has been more temperate over, I guess was like the last 10,000 years, like since the last ice age, we've figured out ways of like stop being like nomadic. We don't move as much. We're like sedentary. We control, we sequester water. We've used it for dams and electricities. And the idea is that like maybe that is obviously caused some issues that we have now, and that going forward, we might want to look at that differently. Does that make sense? Is that like I look at something like the Hoover Dam, like how long is that going to continuously be in operation based on like the dropping of like the levels of water in the Colorado River? Like, do we have to look like, does that make sense? Like I just
have we disrupted the water cycle?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, like the challenges the Colorado River Basin that's dealing with it is well documented. And I think like water supply is a big issue in the West. And when droughts occur, they tend to be more intense now. And again, it's just because when it's hotter, you intensify the water cycle. So if it's hot and dry, the land surface dries out quickly, which makes drought worse. and it kind of feeds on itself. And so droughts are getting more intense, and heavy rain events are getting more. It's like in California, it's feast or famine. They go from flood to drought, like every so many years. And so, and it's expensive to adapt to these changes, which happen really fast. So, that's one of the reasons we need to do something, because like the cost of inaction is a lot more than doing nothing.
I think that the cost thing is like a really important thing that you bring up, because working in facilities, infrastructure, and things like that, one of the things that I am constantly running up against is we've got aging stuff, for example, where I work, that we have to do something about, or it will kill somebody or cause a building to collapse or cause a major calamity that is way more expensive than fixing this thing in the first place. But even the cost of fixing it is so high that people just are like unwilling to touch it. It's the cost of managing the built environment is vastly more than what people are willing to pay. Are we in a place now where the cost of mitigating climate change is one of the daunting things that is getting people to where they don't want to really talk about it because it is so high? Not saying that it is somehow not dwarfed by the cost of inaction, right? The cost of inaction is so huge, but that's very abstract. People aren't seeing, nobody's saying, well, I don't have to do that right now. But if you tell them, like, we're going to have to move everybody inland, 10 miles, it's a small number, but it's a big difference. What would, and people are just like,
or mass migration when people act like,
I mean, people don't want to proactively spend money to do this stuff. People only take action when they're immediately threatened or after disaster has already struck. I mean, you saw that with Katrina. I mean, like, people knew that a Katrina-like storm could hit New Orleans for years. I mean, it was well documented that it would be, multi-billion-dollar disaster, that a lot of people would die when it happened. And did they fix the levees? No. It's kind of like, and there are a lot of coastal communities which are kind of sitting ducks. I mean, you look at South Florida and all the wealth and the high rises and, around Miami Beach, and if a Category 5 hits there, it's going to be really ugly. It's going to be really bad. I mean, Andrew hit in, 1992, but that hit south of Miami Beach. That hit like, Homestead, and, it caused a ton of damage down there, but it missed the high rises. It missed a lot of the wealthier parts of southern Florida. So if you have a large hurricane, which is intense, hitting any of these sort of highly populated coastal communities with a lot of wealth, we're going to see disaster costs unlike anything we've seen before, and it's just a matter of time. So
can't we just protect those coastal communities by cleverly drawing Sharpie maps and
that's right,
the hurricanes?
Yeah, it'll hit just steer the storm toward Alabama, right?
Yeah, there's no wealth in Alabama. We
got to build a wall. We got to build the wall.
Build a wall, a Sharpie wall.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the reasons the cost of disasters is going up so much is just because of where we're building and how much we're building, and there's just more stuff. There's more stuff, and there's more stuff.
No-go zones.
Pardon me?
Are we going to have no-go zones? Like, is that I always bring up Sandy because it's just a thing that I happen to know about. My wife is from Staten Island.
Yeah.
So there were whole sections of Staten Island where basically the local officials were like, you can't go back and rebuild there. This is just now no man's land.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at what's happened on the North Carolina Outer Banks, with those homes falling into the ocean because of beach erosion and sea level rise. I mean, so yeah, there are clearly going to be places where you shouldn't be building. I mean, and I think rebuilding. I think Sandy's a great example of that. What's that?
Why are we, the taxpayer, the people who live responsibly not on the coast, for example, why are we paying to rebuild these communities in places where people just safely can't live anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I don't have the answer to that, but you're
it's not helping. Thanks, Jason. We really wanted a good answer. Okay.
That
All
is a
right.
good answer. I don't have the answer for that. Yeah.
Let's get to an answer.
You're
that-
voting for this.
Yeah, people are voting for that, right? That's
Yeah,
I mean,
they are. Yeah.
but unfortunately, they're voting.
People vote for a lot of things, you know. So.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
do. They do.
So speaking of voting, one of the things you guys have polls sometimes on your on Capital Weather.
We do, yeah.
And so where can people go to follow the blog and vote on those polls and all of those kinds of things?
Yeah, so every day you can vote on what you think the weather rating of the day should be. You know, we have our daily digit, our 0 to 10 score for the day's weather, and we allow our readers to give their own score and vote. So you can do that at capitalweather.com. Our forecast is posted each day there at 5 a.m. Just click it at the forecast, see what our rating of the day is, and if you'd like to participate, tell us what you think. And yes. Yes, that's what I'd say on that.
Okay. So and who do you have feature I don't know, presenters, I don't know what you guys call all of your writers or whatever, but you have featured members who are, you know, producing all kinds of stuff. So what's coming up? Who are we looking forward to? Yeah,
so basically like every day, like a different person does the forecast on our team. So we have like, 7 different forecasters, and we each have a day of the week that we're responsible for, and then throughout the course of the day we'll post updates. If there's a chance of severe thunderstorms that day, you can read about that. If there's a big heat wave coming down the pike, you can we'll post about that. We'll do features on different weather concepts, like why. Like I just posted one today about like why relative humidity is kind of useless, and you should instead look at dew point if you want to understand how humid it is outside. We'll do features on weather forecasts that are going to matter. Like we did a lot for the July 4th forecast. When they're going to be big sporting events, we do netcasts for the Nationals games. There you go. Yeah. And I mean, like we're always, we'll write up stories about weather policy issues, like this issue about weather balloons. Dan Stillman on my team just did a whole piece on that a couple days ago. We do monthly outlooks. So like on August 1st, we'll post, okay, this is what we're thinking August is going to look like. And then we'll recap, what happened in July. So we do climatological analysis. We mix it up. We do a lot of different stuff. We feature a lot of like audience photos of like cool sky formations, sunsets, sunrises, cool clouds, cumulonimbus mammatus, all that good stuff. And so we just try to, surprise people, but also provide just reliable updates on what people can expect, and with a little bit more depth than you can get in most other places. But we try to make it accessible. Like I think one thing which, like people think that like, scientific information needs to be like super technical and difficult for the layperson to understand. We really try to break it down for people. So like, we don't want anybody to come to our site and feel like overwhelmed or like they can't understand the information we're providing. So we try to like, tell people the bottom line. And then if they want more details, they can get it by reading further. And when they read further, we try to write things in plain English so people can understand. So, so that's kind of us in a nutshell. And like, and I think like the other big thing I'd say, since you're giving me the opportunity to provide a commercial right now, we place a real emphasis on reader engagement, and so we have a very active commenting community.
You do.
So people, people share their observations about what's happening in their, in their neighborhood, and they share their opinions about the forecast. Our new commenting section since leaving the post, you can post weather graphics and photos in the comment section. So, people can share their photos that way, and they can ask questions to us. And we try to, we scan the comment section every day, and we try to be as responsive as we can to questions that people have, because like, it's really useful for us for weather to be a two-way conversation, because like when there are big storms, we benefit from like knowing what's happening. It's like the ground truth. So like we're providing a forecast, and then we know whether our forecast is playing out the way we expected if we're getting observations from people all across the area, from Vienna, from Albany, from Fort Washington, or wherever it may be. So the two-way aspect and the reader engagement is really important to us, and so we always really stress that part.
So go look at capitalweather.com. You can join in and
download the app.
Yeah, I've been a Capital Weather fan for basically since you guys were. I think maybe I first saw it in the like Post Express a million years ago, and then
that's right.
Then I was like, oh, this is great. So and it is in plain English. It's a much, in my opinion, much easier way to engage with the weather. It's less. It can get technical when you want it to be,
right.
But and if you want the data, it's usually there. But it's also like written for normal people. So that's really good. Can I pitch you an idea for the Capital? This is not about me. I know Tez is like, oh, he's going to try to. First of all, yes. Do you need guest bloggers? We want to write about weather.
Do I need guest bloggers?
Yeah.
That's a no. The silence was no.
Yeah. Can we write fake weather columns and then you can?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
sure. All right, we're going to do that. So I have a friend. Her name is Kate, and she does amateur weather stuff. She has her Twitter handle is like Weather by Kate or whatever. But there's this one particular data point that she and I might be the only two people who are super interested in. And I'm going to pitch you this data point as something, I don't know how useful it is or what you're going to do with it. But here it is. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It is, when is the water from the tap drinkably cold? And
what? How's that a weather-related question?
Well, it's a temperature-related question, and ground temperature related. So, and right, like it gets warmer.
This is right. I share your skepticism on this.
Flag on the play. This is on the play. This is not a freaking
no, because question. So here's what happened. As spring
if it was rainwater, then maybe I would be like, okay.
It's not just rainwater. The ground heats up at different rates depending on what's going on. That's a
fair.
Real thing.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. So every year, as we're getting into springtime, like we'll pick a date. She'll pick a date that's an over/under, and she's like, "At what? Is it going to be drinkably cool up to this point or after this point?" And I took the over this year because I had been paying attention to how much cooling and what the ground temperatures were and all this because I wanted to be right about it.
It was a cold winter.
It was a cold winter. Exactly. Yeah. And I said, okay, that's going to take a lot more consistent days of warm weather for that heat to be absorbed by the ground enough to affect the temperature of the water. The volume of the water is huge amounts. So like I mathed this a bit in my head and I was right. It was after the date. She took the under, I took the over. I got this right. So we're going to do this again in reverse, right? Come the fall times. When does this water get drinkably cold? I think this could be something that your readers would be really interested in opining on, and it could really spark a lot of conversation. So feel free to use the.
I will take it under consideration. I am like, I've never heard this before, so I've learned something today. I may have learned something which is completely out of left field.
It's probably useless.
But the source is just your tap water is what you're using.
Yeah. When does your tap water get drinkably cold?
My gosh.
I feel like the hose is a better source.
No, because the hose is influenced by the sun and it's sitting out above ground and all that stuff. That's not really telling you anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit like, civil engineering meets meteorology.
Yes. Which is really exciting stuff for me and one other person at least.
Yeah. All right. Shall I ask AI? What does it think?
No. Maybe. I don't know. It's not going to care.
We had a good dismount. This is a weird dismount.
It's going to say, why are you asking me this? No. Okay. This is we ruined it. We had a good
weird dismount.
Everything was going great until this. I mean, like.
Great. Once again, I've ruined ChipChat. Should be amazing.
You ruined it. No, I'm kidding.
All right, fine. I care about this. I'm pitching.
No. It's interesting. Like now I have to look into it.
He's gonna care now, and he's gonna notice. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna
cold
say this
water
is
though. I'm ignorant to this. Cold water on my tap there when it's down on cold you're saying is just completely dictated. There's nothing controlling that in my house besides
No,
Okay.
that's city water coming straight up to your tap. So cold water is whatever temperature the pipe is underground. Yes.
Okay.
And there is a point at which the ground temperature is low enough that water comes out drinkably cold, that you don't need to add ice or refrigerate it to the point where you'd want to drink it. And predicting when that is, obviously there's other factors like how deep is your water service line, you know, what it's
drinkably
made
cold
of.
right now with no ice. I think even
but there's a difference.
okay.
And you
I'm
know
trying
it.
to
And
figure
now that you're aware of this data point, you're never going to be able to not have it. So it's going to be sometime in like November, okay, maybe about middle to late
It's going to
November.
start to feel cold again.
Yeah, you're gonna fill up a glass and you're gonna be like, oh, this is already cold.
Okay.
Chip was right. This is a thing I care about. And
Chip
then
was
you're
right.
gonna
This is the thing I
then you're
care
gonna
about.
write a blog post
Strong.
about it, and you're gonna say, look, I was on this stupid show with this
And
stupid
it's going to get
guy.
1 million page views. It's going to go viral. We'll make
It's
a
gonna be
TikTok
huge.
video.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
there
be
you go.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is
And
gonna
then you'll
realize
absorb ChipChat the same way the post.
I'm just saying, you know,
Not gonna happen. Let me tell you
be
that.
ready for it. All right, fine. Jason, one more time, where can everybody read your stuff and follow you and all that kind of thing? They can get you on the
Yeah,
social media.
capitalweather.com. We're on Twitter at Capital Weather, Facebook.com/Capital Weather, Capital Weather at Blue Sky. So, one thing we didn't talk about, I'll just mention really quickly, is we do have membership tiers. So there's like,
Yes, good to talk. Yes, please.
Yeah,
the
just
funding.
really-
How do we fund this?
Yeah.
so just really quick. So we have a free tier. And if you just sign up for the free tier, you'll get our forecast sent to your inbox each morning, and you can comment on the articles on our site. So basically, it gets you registration, access to basic stuff. We've got a couple of pay tiers. We have a basically an $8 a month or $75 a year Friends tier, and that gets you access to our weekly insider newsletter, which is kind of our own in-depth insights on the weather that's happening in DC and elsewhere. And we also have a weekly insider chat in which we have basically a chat, an online chat session with our friend subscribers. And then we have one higher tier, which is our founder or sustainer tier, and that's $150 a year. So that's for the people who are really into it. But that gets you an ads-free experience on our website. It gets you all the stuff you get under the Friends, the insider chat, the insider newsletter, and it also gets you some swag and quarterly video call, where you get to talk to us. So anyways, different levels, and we appreciate all support, and even our free. We really appreciate even our free subscribers, because we have advertising on the site, and that's another line of revenue for us. So that helps sustain us and make this whole thing possible.
Jason, we'll bully them now. Like right now, listeners, all right?
Yeah.
Go
Pay
to the top
pay for
fucking
the
tier,
journalism.
okay? We're going to pay for this shit, okay? 150, that's 3 cocktails on a given Saturday, all right? Wherever you're at, wherever you're outside enjoying your... We're talking to you who's listening right now. Tez is bullying you. Yo, go to the top tier and keep this going. Because the only way we keep this going is by funding it. I believe.
Thank you, Tez. That means a lot. And we appreciate all of our readers, and it's fun. And I'm fortunate to have like a great team working with me. We're all, we've all been working really hard on this, and we're really excited by the initial reception. People have been really kind and generous, and it's going well so far. And we hope we can sustain it. We hope we have some interesting weather to cover. So we'll see what happens.
And if you donate enough, do you get to go on a ride along with Matt the next time he's chasing a tornado?
Oh, that would be a good promotion. Yeah,
That's a good promotion.
That's
Finally,
smart.
a good idea.
Oh, finally, I've got a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better one than the whole sort of like faucet thing.
Should name the tier levels after different kinds of clouds. That would be cool too, right? You could be.
We actually thought about that. Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You're smart. You could be on our marketing team.
See?
Oh, God.
Look at that. Look at that. See?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
We
God.
appreciate it. All right, Jason, that was great. Thank you for saying such nice
Thank
things
you.
about us. We really like that. That's our favorite part of the show.
That's your favorite part, okay?
Right. Okay. Go to capitalweather.com. Please be a friend or higher level.
Founding member. Founding level.
Founder,
Yes.
you want to get in on the ground floor before they're too cool to talk to us.
Yeah. Yep.
Jason, will you come back in around the winter time to tell us what's going to happen with the snow and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting winter. We're looking at maybe our biggest El Nino on record, off the chart. So, it's totally a wild card as to like what this winter is going to look like. It could be epic, or it could be like a big fail, because like with all that, El Nino pumps a lot of heat into the system, so it can mean just like a lot of rain, but it also can mean some big storms. And so if there's just enough cold air, it can be really interesting. So
all right, well,
stay tuned.
We'll be paying attention to that.
I'm British.
Also,
I love rain.
If the Gulf Stream is about to shut off, can you tell us first?
God,
That
yes.
would be really good to know.
We can't trust you then, Tess, if you're British.
I know. Exactly true.
I was
Hey,
listening
guess
to
what?
your opening comments about the World Cup. So
Oh God, yeah. It's bad.
If his family's about to freeze,
If the
in
Gulf
London,
Stream cuts off, then yeah.
yeah, North London
right.
is going to become the northern wasteland,
yeah.
uninhabitable.
Hey, we're scaring people again. You talking
Bunch
about
of
the
Gunners fans anyway. Nobody cares about them. All right, we're gonna take a break. Jason, thank you for hanging out.
Thank
with
you.
us. We
Appreciate
really
it. That's
appreciate
fun.
This is great.
And we'll be hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right,
forget
I
about that
enjoyed
rocket
it.
thing. It's cooler than you think after November.
All right.
fun.
Take
That's
care.
not-
Thanks.
We're sorry. All right, we're gonna take a break. That was Jason Samenow from CapitalWeather.com. We're ChipChat from Beltway Radio. Whatever. We'll see you later. Bye.
Faucet water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like the frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point.
All right, so we're back with our clip game.
Yes.
This is the chip clip game.
Yes.
And our game master Brian, our esteemed super producer, who you won an award for that, didn't you, Brian?
Yes, I did. I want a
Yeah.
nice white belt.
It's oh god, I didn't buy the belts. Take that up with the 420 guys. But yeah. So and we've got a score. All right. So on the Ip Clip Georgia score, you can see it's 1-1 after the first half.
That's gonna be a random thing I say this year.
The Ip Clip Georgia game.
Clip Georgia.
All right. So and
Wait, hold on. Then it just flipped back to clip game. That's funny as
welcome back to Ip Clip Georgia here on Beltway Radio. I'm Chip. With me is Tez.
Oh,
Oh
what
my
a roller
God.
coaster! Because coming off of the faucet and then the water with the gay frogs and then Ip Clip Georgia is just something. This show's actually gotten better.
Oh man,
As I
that's
watch
just
that
classic with the Alex Jones thing.
Oh shit! I forgot my plug. Sorry, I'm laughing at this. This isn't funny.
Wrong crap.
After you go and become a fucking founder of a Capital Weather Gang, 150 tier only for our listeners, right? Go big or go home. Then you take your ass to Sandy Hook Promise and sandyhookpromise.org to make up. This is like carbon credits for us. Every time we play a freaking Alex Jones video, and soon we'll have to pay the onion when we play that. You go ahead and donate to Sandy Hook Promise, because we can't continue to play those videos and laugh at him for his outlandish statements and saying that dead kids are not real and doxing their families and making where their families have to move, and hopefully they get a lot of money from him as they sell off his assets. You should go to sandyhookpromise.org and donate. I'm serious about that. I'm not laughing at that. This is just a bad timing altogether. And like,
the freaking frog's gay.
I was not ready for that. I just wasn't ready for it. And this show's gonna go to 1 o'clock tonight. Sorry, Brian.
All right.
Clock.
That was a fantastic interview. We really loved talking to Jason Samenow, and that was very cool. All right, you ready to do some headlines?
What do you call that? Faucet watch? What's it called? What is it?
I don't
have a name for it. You got to get a name for it.
I asked Kate. This is really her thing. I'm just the only person that also cares about this, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. She's been on the show. She co-hosted one time, maybe when you were out.
Perfect. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Love her.
Right, yeah. She's super talented. She plays cello and bass and is in about 18 different bands, and yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. All right, you want to do these headlines?
Yes, and I just read these things, everybody, because I know these are going to be. There were a lot of them, and I couldn't even start to grasp around them. So I just read these things, and apologies to whoever is offended. Blame the writers of this show.
That's right. We blame the writers. They are the enemy of the people. Okay, Tez, as tradition dictates, you get to go first.
All right. Lindsey Graham has died, giving him a chance to see his old friend John McCain as Graham passes by heaven on his way to hell.
That is right. Graham died suddenly from a condition known as pissing off the Russians.
We don't know that. Allegedly. The death of a senior senator from South Carolina has a major impact on not just politics, but also Grindr.
Yep. Graham was replaced in the Senate by his sister, who looks suspiciously like Lindsay in drag.
Some people have been asking what it's like for South Carolina to have the closeted gay senator that seems to vote against the LGBTQ community all the time. But Tim Scott was unreachable for comment. He has a wife, doesn't he?
Nope.
No. It's a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, he had a girlfriend. She was from Canada, went to a
yeah.
different school. You don't know her. And then
stop it now.
That's true.
Stop it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Trump claimed that he had spoken to Lindsay just a few hours before his death and that they had discussed Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, but sources say Graham didn't like discussing straits at all.
Over the course of a single day, that's bad. Over the course of a single day, Trump tweeted that he would change or charge ships for American protection transiting the strait, then later reversed that when he learned that his mafia buddies were already doing that.
That is correct. Negotiations with Iran have taken a turn as Trump recently elevated his Iranian counterparts from scum to sleazebags in a series of rambling postings on social media. Cool.
Oil prices jumped sharply as the two nations traded attacks with missiles and words, having an outsized impact on Diddy.
I'm glad you got that one. With Lindsey Graham gone, attention is briefly turned away from Mitch McConnell, but the smell of his dead body brought everyone back.
Good God, good God, good God. The soccer world turned their attention to the World Cup final as Spain faces off against their former colony, Argentina.
Yes. Although I don't think FIFA cheated this time to get him that win. They won that one fair and square.
I think so.
Spain versus Argentina, a classic, just the way that FIFA drew it up.
We're not saying FIFA is corrupt or tried to put their thumb on the scale or anything, but they did recently win a no-bid contract to resurface the reflecting pool.
Yup. The reflecting pool is back in the news because after Trump had it drained again, it revealed that the real damage to the new liner was tire tracks from when Trump drove his motorcade on it.
That's true.
Front of the post right now.
Yep, front of the post. The redneck White House has now got so many unfinished projects around it that Trump is taking helicopter flights from the ellipse. And when has anything bad happened when Trump launched something from the ellipse?
That's a January 6th joke that Tez told. Pete Hegseth tweeted a video in which he explained that the Department of War was going to give testosterone treatment to service members, starting with himself, sponsored by Blue Chew.
Months ago, you may remember that the military announced it would no longer support hormone therapy. Hop slam, baby, and I'm only drinking water tonight. Hormone therapy for service members who needed it. So I guess they had some surplus stuff just sitting around.
Yeah. Hegseth getting hormone therapy is very bold and hopefully will convince more people to start talking openly about menopause.
Hey, there you go. We do.
Go
SpaceX
to meno-start.com. The dash is for hot flash.
There it is. There it is.
There you go.
SpaceX stock, which initially made Elon the first trillionaire, has fallen below the IPO pricing. So now you have time to hate Elon for all other obvious reasons.
Yes. And in baseball, the American League won the All-Star game again, having no impact at all on the Dodgers' chances of winning the World Series again.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Those are the headlines. All right, we're going to skip a break and let's go right to the international rundown. This is where we tell you about some stuff that's gone on in the news outside of this country, believe it or not. If we were real newsmen, it would sound a little something like this.
Go Blue.
There you go.
From Beltway Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about well, maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jake. Check him out. Channel 4 in Detroit. That intro is so long, Tez has time to check his phone.
No, it's breaking news.
Oh, shit. What happened?
We found, what is the mega diarrhea? How do you pronounce this? Is it cyclopsosaur? How do you say it? I don't know how to say it.
Cyclosporiasis.
Okay. Linked to Taylor Farms lettuce sent to Taco Bell. Federal officials worked with Michigan investigators to trace the outbreak to iceberg lettuce, which may also have gone to other vendors.
It's why we don't eat iceberg lettuce, because it's useless and full of diarrhea.
The fourth meal.
Yeah.
Not the diarrhea, but the Taco Bell.
Back when our studio was in Laurel, that was a place Larry and I would often stop at the Taco Bell on our way there. And one of the funny things that we would do is they would ask for a name, right, when you give the order, and so they can call it. And we would give them all kinds. They don't care what name you give them. You don't have to give them your name, right? You can just give them a name. So we would just come up with like all of these ridiculous names and then watch them struggle to say them and call them out. It was a lot of fun for us. All right, let's talk about Iran. Iran's a big country. It's in the Middle East. It's got 90 some odd million people in it, and it borders along it has a coast. It has two coasts, but it has one coast that is along a piece of the Persian Gulf. It's named after Persia, which is another way to say Iran. And part of that bit of coast is where the Strait of Hormuz is, which is a very funny name for a body of water, Strait of Hormuz. And it's where this bit of Oman kind of juts out into the Persian Gulf, and so then the water kind of just goes over top of it. It's a good pinch point if you are playing like some sort of strategic game and trying to trap everything up in one side or keep anything from going through, because it's easy to manage from a military or strategic perspective, right? And for a very long time, everybody just assumed this meant that this is wide open. I mean, it's not wide open, but that it's a place that you got to navigate, but it's otherwise like this is just open water. Everybody transits through here. Nobody owns it. It's just an open piece of ocean. And then the dumbest president we've ever had decides to start a war with Iran for no reason. And yeah, the Iranians are like, fuck that noise. We're going to close this very, very small bit of previously for thousands of years open water. Right. And Trump's like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't think you could do that. And the Iranians were like, your own people told you that this was a possibility. We told them we were going to do this if you do anything. We told you that, remember? And he's going to be like, I don't remember anything. I have a perfect score. You should look at my cognitive test. I had an MRI. It's fantastic. And so they closed it. And now we've just been, for months now, back and forth where Trump says it's open. The Iranians are like, no, it's not. And he goes, yeah, it is. And they go ahead and try it. And then some ship goes through there and they shoot at it. And then Trump shoots at them. And then they shoot back at our Gulf allies, who are now very much regretting being our Gulf allies. And then Trump shoots back. This has been going on now since February. And I see no measurable progress. We come on here every week and we could just copy and paste the same thing every week. Nothing changes here. The U.S. and Iran traded intense barrages of strikes on Wednesday, that's yesterday, as both sides escalated their rhetoric with no immediate off-ramp evident. Of course, it's not an off-ramp, it's at sea. U.S. forces launched waves of attack early Wednesday and overnight, which the U.S. Central Command said hit dozens of military targets near the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's coast along disputed waterways. Iran, meanwhile, launched strikes at places where there's U.S. military bases, including Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. Speaking at a ceremony in Tehran Wednesday, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman, Ismail Bakai, I don't know, he's Persian, addressed the status of the Memorandum of Understanding, which is long since passed. There's no understanding here. Said that Iranian, quote, fighters will respond with force and power to U.S. aggression and are prepared to defend every inch of the nation's territory. So then Trump was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fucking blow up I'm going to commit war crimes. Now, he had threatened to do the war crime thing before, and then he didn't. And why? Because he's a bitch? I don't know. Like, he tacoed out.
This isn't the type of war he wants. I mean, it's just very odd he's in this because, and I mean, it's not so much. Clearly he was given all the right information and he chose to ignore this along with his advisors. Because I know we talk a lot about like the administration losing experts and not having people who are actually like giving the right answers. But I think on this, from all the reporting, it sounds like most of the military was like dead on with this. Kane was dead on with this. Yeah, like, yeah. So I mean,
this is a surprise.
Right.
This guy Elon Goldenberg.
Right, no one's done it.
Yeah, that's right. Why has this not happened? Trump's like, I'm the only president who's done this. Hey, idiot, there's a reason. Yeah, like
look at you now. Look at you now.
You're like the guy who got tossed by that buffalo. He's like, nobody else thought to go pet the buffalo. I'm going to be the one to do it. And then, you know, what the fuck the buffalo was like.
He doesn't want to be, his biggest fear is to be remembered as Hoover. and he's a fast track there.
Yeah, he found a way to get there. He could have gone and done nothing. Everything was
wasn't
on pace. He could have just enjoyed the like luxury of being president and like flown around, shaking hands, kissing babies or whatever. He probably doesn't kiss babies, but you know what I mean. And
he could fake like all the infrastructure projects are his.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole. I can
go out there cutting ribbons, talking about, look at what I brought you, people. Yeah,
it's a simple plan.
He could have been fine. So this guy Goldenberg, he said that the United States at this moment is, quote, entirely stuck. I've been working on Iran policy for 20 years, and it's always hard, but this is the most stuck we've ever been. He said the Iranians have a tremendous amount of leverage that they didn't realize that they had before.
Yep.
They are determined to try to humiliate the United States and to try to get the best deal possible in order to send a message. I don't know if they didn't notice it before, but they certainly never had an American president who was stupid enough to not notice it. You know,
right.
When Kerry was negotiating the JCPOA, it's not like it never occurred to him that 20% of the world's oil could be stopped dead in its tracks by Iran if he fucked it up. Like, he knew that.
Right.
So he was careful, and it worked. And then Trump was like, fuck that noise. I don't like this ketchup negotiated deal anyway. All right. Let's move on to another continent full of shithole countries that Trump wants to bomb. Africa. Did you know there's a place called Africa?
Yes.
It's a great big continent. It's even bigger than Greenland. You wouldn't know that if you looked at a map.
The map, you would not.
It's a lot bigger than Greenland, believe it or not.
Intentional too. That's done that.
It's
way.
Intentionally bigger than Greenland, or it's intentionally misrepresented on the map.
That one.
Yes, that's right. So in Africa, there's a country called Zimbabwe. Now, I'm going to guess, I didn't look at who added this to the document, but since our esteemed producer, Brian, used to live there, I'm going to guess this had his doings. But what are we talking about here? We're talking about something that we may be experiencing soon. They have an 83-year-old president. His name is Emerson Mnangagwa. He got to be president after he deposed his former best friend. I think, I don't know what to call their relationship, but Robert Mugabe, who was president of Zimbabwe for the last several hundred years, there was an election. This guy named Morgan Tsvangirai won, and then he didn't win, and then he got killed, and then there was a coup, and then they sent Mugabe home to God knows where, and then I don't know. Anyway, this dude Mnangagwa ends up in charge of the whole operation, and he's not supposed to still be president. Like, they have a rule about that. Don't worry though. President Emerson Mnangagwa has signed into law a constitutional amendment that abolishes direct presidential elections, postponed the next vote, and extended his tenure, according to government notice issued on Tuesday, despite strong opposition from critics. Well, you know, that's what you do if you're an 80-something-year-old president that doesn't want to submit to the will of your people. This is a cautionary tale, folks.
You know, and I think this is just, I don't have like any like hardcore evidence on there. I guess it's more anecdotal, but there's obviously been a huge investment in African nations from China. I'm pretty sure Zimbabwe, if I was reading this, someone probably might be like a $2 billion investment at the bare minimum. I mean, yeah.
Probably nothing.
Yeah, nothing. But I maybe that's just for like an initial project or something. But like billions of dollars is funneling specifically to Zimbabwe, and I just wonder. And obviously, the Western countries don't have any room really or like to stand on. But I do wonder that when you have relationships with a government like that isn't really preaching democracy, isn't preaching human rights, like, and again, I fair arguments for the West, who I would say preaches that, doesn't always practice it, rarely practices it, but it is that framework of like, no, we think that this model makes more sense, and we think like, that this is the better option. But I do wonder, when you start working with those, when you work with that superpower, like internally, do you kind of like ease up? And obviously Zimbabwe went through like a long rule anyway.
They haven't had anything resembling democracy there in several generations.
Right. But I just wonder though, like when you start working with China, maybe that continues to stay that way. And there is no like need to do that, because the financier at this point doesn't have that expectation. Up until recently, I think America's giving had the expectation that we'd be giving to folks. Not always, again, because there's clear examples of like areas in Latin America and like.
I was going to say all of Central America would disagree with that, but yes, yeah.
But the framing, the fakeness of it, right? Like again, like I understand it's not real, but I'm just saying that was kind of the framework of like, oh, you do this in like a small democratic way, and I just wonder, like now, kind of, is that all out the window everywhere? Like,
yeah, I think if there's something that Trump and the Chinese government have in common, is that they prefer to have all their relationships be transactional.
Right.
And so there's no moral framework or sort of shared principled idea that could bind the country together. It's purely about what can you pay for? What can I get from you? And the Chinese have openly talked about one of their great strengths in their ability to do large projects, to move mountains, literally to move mountains, to leap ahead in climate, to leap ahead in electric vehicles, solar panel production, all kinds of things, has been the lack of democracy gumming up the works.
Right.
And if you've ever go look at here's your chance to see democracy in action. And I don't mean like in the process of action. I mean
in action
of democracy. I got sent a link this week to a YouTube posting of a town meeting in Cranford, New Jersey, which is a suburb. It's on the New York half of New Jersey, right? Half of New Jersey's in New York, and the other half's in Philadelphia. It's up sort of near Newark. It's a little west of Newark, south and west of Newark, sort of west of Elizabeth. This meeting is incredible. It's about 45 minutes long, and because of things that we do in this country where we have open processes and open democracy to some extent, these things get recorded and they get posted so that you can kind of watch. And the idea is you're supposed to see the interaction between the town council and the people. And,
and if you couldn't attend,
you could still tune in and stuff like that. Right. Instead, this takes an incredible turn. I'm not going to spoil it for you what it does at all, but you definitely need to just go to YouTube and look up Cranford, New Jersey, and click the official one. Don't look at any of the reaction videos or any of that. Just click the official one and get cozy and watch for 44 minutes and some odd seconds what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. And after you watch that, think about, do you want that? Because it might not be the best answer for like getting shit done. And I could see, to your point, if the Chinese are making their investments, maybe part of that comes along with, and we want to make sure that our investment is cared for. They can pick and choose the leaders, or they can pick and choose the amount of democracy, or they can, at the sort of low end of the scale, they don't even bother to mention it.
Right.
You're under no obligation to even pay lip service to this. We just want to extract your shit and get your cobalt or whatever. And
here's a bridge.
Here's a bridge. Yeah. You wanted this road? Okay.
A super fast bridge and road we built in like 30 days.
Yeah. With Temu products. Yeah. Right. It's made out of lead. The kids built it. It's great. Sure. All right, let's talk about business here in America.
All right.
I'm going to tee this up, and you're going to explain this all to everybody and what all this means. But there is this thing going on where Warner Brothers, which owns a lot of stuff, right? We're basically things that people know about that they care about. HBO, CNN, Harry Potter, I think, maybe
HGTV, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, right? The Looney Tunes, all of these things. Warner Brothers is not interested in running itself anymore. I don't know that they're having finance issues or anything like that. They just don't want to do it. And so they announced that they were kind of up for sale. And two big outfits went after them. One was Netflix. And some people were very excited about that. They're like, oh, now I don't need to have two subscriptions to HBO and Netflix. We can just, get it all together. And the prestige TV people were all into that or whatever. And then along came Paramount. And Paramount was like, no, we want to buy Warner Brothers. And everybody's like, why? You already have all this stuff and there's nothing for you here. And then Paramount was like, well, we're owned by the Ellison family and Donald Trump is our best friend and we're like super billionaires. Also, we don't like that CNN does news anymore. So we want to like stop that. And we'll buy a whole fucking company to make Anderson Cooper shut up. And then everybody's like, oh, that's not good. No. And then because the Justice Department is who has to sign off on this, and that's Trump. Trump was like, oh yeah, you should buy that. And also you should fire Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer for good measure or whatever. And then that was it. And so now they're just like, there was no review process or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, we're going to buy it. And I guess the shareholders approved it. And so it's all going through until what happened?
States rights. The states decided to sue. Yeah,
look at this.
led by California.
I mean, smooth prosecutor. Who is this guy?
Rob
Bonta.
Rob Bonta here. Yeah, but to quote him,
California AG, by the way.
Yes, the unlawful merger of these two entertainment behemoths would lead to higher prices, lower quality, and less content and for film and television, harming movie theaters, basic cable distributors, and ultimately audiences on every sofa and movie theater seat in the U.S. End quote from California AG Rob Bonta. Yeah, and Paramount obviously comes back and accused the Attorney General here getting both the facts and antitrust law wrong, and warned that the lawsuit would bring its own pain. So, quoting them, delaying this transaction will only harm entertainment workers who have already suffered over the recent years as technology has disrupted their livelihood and cost California tens of thousands of entertainment jobs, end quote. So now they're just saying, hey, people are running away from the state because of this. I don't think that's nowhere near factual. That's not the reason that people are moving away.
California is the fifth largest economy in the world by itself.
Just by itself, right?
By itself.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you even have in here, right? You mentioned the Ellison family, right? Where Dave is the son, right? Yeah, who owns
Larry's the father, guy who started Oracle and became a billionaire.
And then his son Dave runs Paramount. But yeah, you have like Trump, right, on here, quote, we're trying to have CNN go on a normal path, end quote. So that's what he told Tapper after an interview about Lindsey Graham. Yeah, I think it's interesting to see states kind of come out against this. I'm interested to see where that goes, because at the end of the day, to me, like the DOJ still has control, right, over approving these mergers. And like, let's just say it goes to the Supreme Court. Do they get to a point where they turn this down and say that the states don't have any standing here? Like, I don't know.
I don't know that it's a standing problem, but states have done this frequently, right? It's either Republican states or Democratic states, depending on who's in the White House, will, if they don't like the way that federal law is being applied to a given situation, they can go to court and ask for relief in sort of forcing the feds to do their job. And I don't know what the success rate of that is. I don't think it's very high, but I don't think that's really the point. I think that the idea here is to raise the attention level on this, because, you know, the business side of it is what it is. I don't think it's, you know, the question of competition or whether it's fair to do a merger is so subjective in any case. It's hard to know.
Yeah, but we know that more of the, like, we've watched the price. Let's just take streaming as just that example. We've watched there become an increase in pricing. And I wouldn't say the content at all has gotten any better. I'll give an example. I've used DirecTV Stream now since 2000 and maybe 15, 16. And for the main reason, it was the only thing that had massing at that point, like outside, like for streaming service, like all the other ones didn't have it. And that was my main reason. But I watched that go probably from like $35 to, I think it's at $135 now.
Yeah.
And that's drastic over a 10-year period, especially to say like the actual service hasn't gotten any better. I don't think I've gotten any better, like channels. And I would say a lot of that I've watched because it's a DirecTV property. DirecTV has fell under AOL Time Warner at that point. And like every one of those changes, as they have went back and forth and either like expanded or contracted, I have watched the prices of these continuously go up. And I do think right now there is like, we are suffering in this country. Like, obviously we have this one type of con that is running the country right now, and he needs to be stopped. But specifically around these mergers, someone needs to call up that other con and like bring her back. Because I do think she had a proper approach to this. And a full-on, and not just here in the tech sector as well, too, where I think things need to be split up. And I think the reason is, I think we use Microsoft, obviously, as that big example. That's probably the biggest case in our generation, right, that we've had. But you don't have some of the emerging technologies, I say specifically a Google, without that case, without them stripping Internet Explorer out. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice for progress. And maybe there's a whole different conversation around like endless growth and things of that nature. But progress and innovation, I think, is stymied in this country sometimes because we don't actually enforce. Like, antitrust is a good thing. That's a good thing that the government should be doing, because again, we know this is a free market, but it's almost they're trying to protect the free market, right?
That's theoretically the role of the DOJ in terms of antitrust law in general, is that they're supposed to be looking out for the consumers and protecting the free market from what would otherwise be unfettered
concentration of everything in one basket, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, you learn this, right, in basic history or social studies class or whatever, that how do you get to, you know, you look at the history of the robber barons and the railroads and all this stuff, that if you buy up everything, you can tank your prices to drive your competitors out of a market, and then you can buy up all their stuff, and then you can raise the prices and everybody's at the mercy and all of this stuff. The argument with the streaming or with content providers in general is that it's a fragmented media market, and people maybe don't care very much about one particular TV channel or movie franchise or whatever, and that they're all distracted watching TikTok or God knows what else. And so, you know, they're struggling to be profitable. That's a fairly cogent argument too, I would say, because they are struggling. The studios are struggling to be profitable. The writers are struggling to be profitable. There's this endless amount of content out there and an endless number of eyeballs, and nobody can figure out a way to make any decent amount of money at it without taking from the consumers in some way or another. Brian watches a lot of this stuff. What do you think, Brian?
Well, the main reason I put this out there, because like you said, this merger, this is Warner's fourth attempt of being merged into something that I felt like you said earlier, is like, why can't you be on your own? You're 100 years old. You can thrive. You know, you got all this content. You're able to do a lot of movies and television shows and stuff like that, but somehow you've been crying and whining that you're broke, which I don't get. And I feel like this is more than just the content aspect of it. It's really the fact is like these new executives that have come in and be part of this merge, because the last merger they were in with Discovery, they gutted out a lot of the guys who were at Warner, where before this merger was kind of everything was kind of okay, but Discovery again wanted to save money and
Private equity approach, right?
right.
Yeah.
But the
They
thing is
just
like
dismantle it and sell off the pieces that they can make money, because it's very short term. They're not interested in
it
company
is, and
solvency.
but their main, again, most of the Discovery executives that took over, they thought in television aspect instead of movie aspect and things of that nature. So they wanted to gut some of this stuff out. Working with Paramount, again, to me is again another, it's a bigger fish eating this big fish. And I just felt like, again, it's like, why of all people, again, mind you, this is where we're at, where this pro-Trump group came in and did what they did, you know, bully their way to get all this media stuff out there for themselves. And look what they're doing now with 60 Minutes and all that stuff. Now you want to do this to Warner, and like you said before, trying to get rid of CNN and all this. It was like, no, I really do hope these 12 states and hopefully more will come in and stop this shit, because since the 90s, all this merger of the bigger fish eating the small ones, and now you're having the bigger ones eating the bigger ones, and it's just like, this is crazy. It's hurting everybody to the point where it's like more not just the end product trying to be poorly produced, because I've seen a lot of poor television of late.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a lot of these poor business decisions that's going to hurt not only the consumer, but the people who are creating it. And it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I think with this particular story, there's two sides to it. One is, what is this like for the consumer, for us purchasing or consuming the media that we want to watch, whether it's movies or TV or news or whatever. But then there's the censorship aspect of it too, which I think can't be discounted. I think that we're talking about people who have so much money and so much invested in a particular outcome for the country and for the world, that they are willing to purchase something that might not be a financially good idea,
Twitter,
if it means they get to kill this critical outlet. And by critical, I mean a straight ahead news operation. Just reporting the fact, the Trump things they complain about this all the time. They go, oh, we're getting all this bad press, and why are these guys writing and saying all these terrible things? And they're like, we're just quoting you. You keep saying it. We're just writing it down and publishing it, or we're just recording you and putting it out there on television. We're not the ones producing this. You are producing this. We're just writing it down and showing it to everybody. They would love to get rid of CNN. They would love to get rid of CNN to the point where they are willing to pay to buy a flagging company that isn't financially solvent, and they will lose money on this deal. If they get CNN off the air, it's worth it to them. That's what
or
they
convert it to state media.
Yeah, right. Well, they have enough of those. It's not that they really are like, well, OAN isn't doing the job or whatever. We need to get out there and compete with that. Yeah, they could shut it down, or they could turn it to state media. Either way, what they want to get rid of,
move it to the right. Even if you slightly move it more to the right, that's still a benefit to them.
Yeah, and even a more cynical perspective, like you're talking about, is to trade on the credibility of the brand name, but turn it into something that is totally uncredible. And that, I mean, we've seen that happen. We're seeing that happen with CBS News right now.
Right now, yeah.
And it is a travesty on top of travesty from a freedom of the press perspective.
Yeah.
The rest of it, all of the movie stuff and the intellectual property and all this stuff, I don't really care about. I don't pay attention to that. I don't watch enough movies to really have a lot of opinion on that. I think that the IP is still going to be valuable and somebody's going to buy it. And if they end up selling it off in pieces and whatever, it's all going to show up, spit out the other end in whatever new media landscape we're looking at. But the loss of the news gathering and distribution platform that is CNN, and CNN is an innovative news gathering outfit. Yeah. You always wonder, like, how does CNN happen to have a reporter everywhere that anything's happening? They don't. What they have is relationships with, contracts with local reporters and TV stations and things like that they can flip a switch and make that person a CNN reporter or get them on the line and have them cover the thing breaking as it happens. That's an innovation that Ted Turner came up with that nobody else had. And it is still why they lead in breaking news all the time and why they're an important part of our news media landscape.
Headline news.
Yeah, right. All right, let's talk about some other news. This one is a federal court. A judge on Monday denounced Trump's stupid IRS thing where he tried to sue himself. She said that there was not enough adversarial difference, that, they were on the same side of this. And this sort of spilled out into the hearing with Todd Blanche this week. He goes in front of the Judiciary Committee and Senate looking for confirmation to be moved from acting to real attorney general. And, there's this obvious thing of, they asked him, are you his friend? And he's like, no, I'm Trump's lawyer.
Lawyer, crazy.
You're not his lawyer, buddy. You're the acting AG. You got to be the country's lawyer. And in this case, he was on both sides of the case. He was suing himself, and it's Trump's personal lawyer suing Trump's DOJ and IRS. The judge is right. This is an improper operation. And for the first time, we're going to see some sort of consequence here. Blanche is possibly going to lose his law license, which would be really funny if the attorney general can't practice law. I don't know what that's going to look like, but state bar in New York, where he's barred, can unbar him. So, of course, the reaction from the Trump administration and others has been to say, well, we don't need state bars. Anybody can be a lawyer or whatever. Again, anti-expertise. I guess if you want to have some idiot represent you in court, you are entitled to that choice. If you want,
that's your right.
That is your right. Sixth Amendment, all you want. But it's a dumb move. By all means, give it a go. But nah, this is where the slush fund comes from. This is where, right. And he was in his hearing and they were like, so are you going to commit to not having the slush fund? And he goes, well, it's dead. And I forget which senator. Yeah, that's not the same thing, because one of the senators sort of said, there's this settlement agreement here. This is an enforceable contract. It says that this fund shall be created. And just because you're not doing it doesn't mean that Trump couldn't come along and sue the DOJ to force them to create this.
Right.
And so you gotta amend the settlement agreement. And he was like, I'm not doing that. Fuck you guys. And they were like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, fuck you guys. And they were like, we're senators. And he's like, okay, sorry, fuck you, senators. And then they're like, all right, hearing adjourned. It was just really stupid, ridiculous. This is the thing. Y'all voted for this shit. I just want to be clear about that. Y'all voted for this shit. It did not have to go this way. You could have had professionals that you disagreed with, but didn't go to break the thing. And instead, you've got a guy who wants there not to be a DOJ. I don't
think he gets confirmed.
You don't think so?
I don't think he gets confirmed.
You think he struggles getting out of committee because Ladybug is dead?
Possibly. I think he might make it out of committee. I don't think he gets the votes on the. I don't think he gets the full.
Well, Mitch isn't there to vote for him because he's dead.
Stop it. And Murkowski,
we don't know.
He's not on there.
Murkowski's a no. Collins is a concerned, but probably yes.
Yes, as always.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think this. I mean, because I think the same reason why Donald Trump wants him might be some of the reasons that he doesn't get confirmed, like some of those extreme ones. I don't think. I think there's
You think like Rand Paul or
yeah. I think there's bipartisan frustration with the whole Jerome Powell shit in that.
The YOLO caucus could matter,
Yeah.
right? Murkowski's going to be probably a no, but you got Cornyn who's pissed off at Trump
yeah.
and might just be looking for a way to strike back. Cassidy, same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. It's the wrong thing.
Yeah. I don't think he gets confirmed.
All right. Well, let's go to Kentucky, where we're definitely not confirming anything. Can't confirm nor deny the life of Mitch McConnell. So, Governor Andy
I saw
Beshear,
him smiling in a hospital. What are you talking about?
right, holding a newspaper, so you know it's good. And his China wife was there, so it's fine. Cocaine Mitch is maybe alive, maybe not. We don't know. He posted this photo of him and this statement that is very clearly, lawyered to death. And the governor was like, no, you need to show me a video. Like, I got to see this. You got to be locked. He goes, call into a radio show. Something.
I love it. Like he's a coach.
Yeah. Call this show. Shit. Governor Beshear said, I think there are some elected officials who don't view themselves as having a boss, but we do. In this instance, it's the people of Kentucky that just deserve to see a little bit more and hear a little bit more about how the senator is doing and what the steps are for his return to office.
Seems fair.
With all the speculation, and there's been a ton, the fastest way to end all of it is calling into a news station. If you're otherwise taking calls, putting out a video or two, which all of us do, you could just do that. So, Mitch, his staff is saying he's taking calls. He's still working on Senate business. He's still doing all of these things. And all of these people are saying that they spoke to him for 20 minutes. It is a super common thing for, yes, coaches, but also for politicians to call into news shows to do interviews, even if they're not on video, just over the phone. And you hear it all the time. You could
Denise
go
George
on,
is on tomorrow on
right.
Politics.
You could just go on, take an interview from All Things Considered. Just take an interview from ABC News. It doesn't have to be on camera. You can just take the interview. That would help. But he's not doing that either. So what's the deal? And again, I don't know that Governor Andy Beshear is like he's definitely dead, but he's certainly not at capacity for the people of Kentucky who do deserve to have representation, even if it's Mitch McConnell. They should. I mean, I'm fine with him being incapacitated and not in the Senate. That works to my
Clearly.
advantage. Yeah, and God willing, Rand Paul's neighbor will put him in the same position. But
all right, I have a question. First off, I'd like to apologize for that whatever outburst I had. It's that Tourette's. Anyway,
Tourette's.
How is it that they can't force him back, but they were able to force back who was it? Maxine Waters. And she left for a while.
Yeah, so they were able to. So he's got to be in person to vote. That's the thing. And so you could call a vote that he needs to be there for, essentially.
So some of the
majority we're not going to do that. What's the name's not going to.
In the case of Waters, it wasn't that they could force her to return; it's that they wouldn't let her leave. And they basically trapped her in the House chamber and came up with some stupid excuse why she wasn't allowed to leave. I don't remember all the details about that.
Yeah. Well, my question is, or my concern is, are we done with this whole bit of, that's what I'm yelling about, of a person who we know full well is not in full capacity to one, not only to complete his term as an elected official. And I felt like it's like if he cannot do that, it's kind of unfortunate that the governor of the state that he's supposed to represent can't come in and say, "Look, you're out. We got to put somebody in. We have to have some."
Well, Kentucky passed several laws. We talked about this
Right.
last week, that they passed several laws that sort of limit Bashir's ability to do that, specifically because he is a Democrat, and that's what they don't want to do. It's partisanship at the maximum. I mean, you got Grassley reading his questions in the Judiciary Committee. He's 93. He's 93, and he's never asked questions without reading them anyway, even though he's been in the Senate for several hundred years. So
he was in the Roman Senate.
Yeah, he was in the Roman. That's funny. He was the Ides of March. If you want to know, like, there's a clear answer to this, which is term limits, and you got to put an age limit on this thing, and you just can't let a country be run by octogenarians, whether it's Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe or Cocaine Mitch in Kentucky. There's a limit here. I don't care how sharp you think they are, or how smart or funny or charming or whatever.
It's the wisdom.
Nah, fuck that.
This is not wisdom.
Not wisdom when you're 60.
Not wisdom.
I'm joking.
Breaking wind, more
good.
or less.
70 is the cutoff. That's it. Like, I don't want 70-year-old people doing anything except making whiskey, maybe. Like, that's the thing. It's like, there's that Corblund song. I want old men making my whiskey, and I want old men singing my blues. That's about like the two things that like old guys are good at. Maybe checkers, but like, I don't even like seeing, like Lee Corso still hanging in on the game day thing for all these years.
He's gone.
Yeah, he is finally, but you get what I'm saying? Like,
it's
the last
elder
10 years,
abuse.
Lee Corso, it was a joke. It's humiliating. It's
elder
degrading.
abuse.
Yeah, it is elder abuse. This is elder abuse. Let Mitch die. Let him ride his thoroughbred off into the Kentucky sunset and take Rand with him. Just go away. I get. Allegedly. Speaking of killing people, ICE should not do that. But they are. So ICE killed people in Texas and in Maine, and everybody's like, oh, that's bad. So then ICE was like, all right, we're going to stop doing traffic stops. Because they just do traffic stops all the time, and they don't care who's in the car. They pull everybody out. They arrest everybody. I saw one video where they walked up to somebody who was stopped at a light or at a stop sign. They got out of their car, blocked that person with their car. They got out of the car, walked up to it, sprayed pepper spray in their air intake of their car, smiled and waved at the driver who was filming it, and then got back in their car and left. I don't know what else to call that other than just outright like terrorist behavior.
That is sponsored terrorists, right?
That is terrorism, right? It is meant to inflict fear for a political agenda on a certain community. So they did this stuff, and so then ICE was like, all right, we'll stop doing the traffic stops. And then Trump found out that they said that, and he's like, fuck that noise. We're gonna definitely do all the traffic stops, and where
the hell is Two First Name? Call Two First Name right now.
Yeah, right. he just says he's stuck in this position where like the deportations and the tactics of ICE are vastly unpopular, even among some of his voters. But he has this mandate to deport everybody. And the mandate to deport has superseded the optics of shooting rando people in their cars. So that's where his priority is. And again, y'all fucking voted for this shit. You talk about, I don't have workers for my dairy farm. Yeah, you goddamn right you don't. That's why. Fuck you. You caused this. You are tanking the economy. You're why we have a worker shortage, for God's sake. We just got employment numbers. It's bad.
Yeah.
Bad numbers. Economic slowdown.
I mean, even if you just in general, as you look at this going 5-10 years from now, unless we come up with like some comprehensive immigration reform where we're bringing people here like in an organized fashion, this isn't going to look good in 10 years.
This is an upside down population already. Yeah. Okay, we have negative population growth. We don't replace.
Who's going to take care of the old senators?
Right. Without Jamaican nurses, you got rid of all the Haitians. You took away their TPS. You know, I guarantee you, Grassley's got a Haitian woman taking care of him.
100%.
And then he's like, but not you, Dominique. You can stay. And you know, they're like, no, you gotta go. Speaking of gotta go, that's the end of the show. We're on time.
We're on time. This was a rough one.
We started late. That's Brian's fault. So you know, to get us out on time is what he be trying. So we want to say thank you to Jason Samenow for hanging out with us. Go check out Capital.com to learn about what's coming your way on the weather front. Make sure you join as a paying member. You know, that data doesn't collect itself, and these guys need support so that they can tell you whether you're going to get trapped in the snow or if there's a hurricane or you just need to get a Sharpie. Thanks to our radio partners. Let's see, we got smoke signals, carrier pigeons, and cans with string. Yep, cans with string. All right. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on another week, maybe. And thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway and Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Lindsay's Ladybugs. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials there, Tez?
You can find me on Blue Sky at DC Cortez. And I guess since I am on Instagram again, you can find me at Ketchum Cordy.
There you go. Yeah, you can. He's posting stories. You know he's out there.
I know. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm back.
Yeah, he's back. He keeps trying to leave, but they pull him back in. All right. You can find me on the show and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. You can find me on Blue Sky with my old Twitter handle at Chef Chip. And you can find us most Thursday nights, but not next Thursday night because we're on hiatus. But you can find us most Thursday nights at 9:30 here on Beltway Radio. I'm Chip. That's Tez. Brian somewhere in the background. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.